Welcome to Spotlight at the GrooveSuiite, featuring individuals who are making the world a better place. Donna Whittington is the hostess of the popular internet TV show, The Color of Jazz. On the show, Donna has interviewed national and independent jazz artists and gives them a platform to promote their music and interact with their fans. Prior to creating The Color of Jazz, Donna hosted The Love Connection, a show where she gave couples advice on relationships. I invited Donna to the GrooveSuiite to let her see what it's like to be on the other side of the mic and to find out a little more about her and how she transformed her love for love into her love for the color of jazz.
There's a secret passion that I have, and that I don't know that I will fully actualize it just because I go back and forth, but it always creeps up, so I know there's something to it. So I started taking these classes to become a loveologist, and my background is in social work. I have a master's degree from the University of Denver, and so I have a master's degree in social work, and I thought the loveology, the love coaching, relationship coaching would be a nice little enhancement to my master's degree in social work. So I started taking the classes, and I started doing some, at that time, Ustream as what I was using the platform, and I would sit in front of my laptop, and my first couple of shows was on kissing and flirting, and yeah, that's still out there, still floating around there, so it's out there, but I didn't know how to use Ustream, and so it kind of sucks, because I didn't know what I was doing, but again, I just had that passion, and I wanted to jump out there, which is kind of what I tend to do. I jump out there and do stuff, and then I kind of come back and clean it up. So how I got started and converted it actually to the color of jazz was I was in Costa Rica, and a friend of mine, Bobby D, and he actually kind of pushed me towards doing the live webcasting shows. And at the time, he had just started a show called the Bobby D Live Show, and it was jazz, and he based it around an upcoming event that he was doing. So when I went to Costa Rica to visit him and his family, I got to sit in and kind of be the co-host, and that's how I really got started with the color of jazz. So as his co-host, we had a lot of fun, we had great energy, great chemistry, and that's what we were doing. So fast forward to, pick up lots of energy, and people were watching, and so we kept it going. So even from Costa Rica, when I got back to the States, we kept it going. We changed the name from Bobby D Live to funkyjazz.tv. So we started that, and every Sunday night, we would sit in front of our laptops. He'd be in Costa Rica, I'd be in Colorado, and he'd patch me in via Skype. So that's kind of how I learned how to do my own show. That, at the time, of course, didn't see that coming, but he would program the music, and then we started getting a following of people from all over the place, all over the world, and we just had lots of fun with it. And towards the end, we did it almost a year, but towards the end, we started inviting guests on the show, which is how I started inviting the guest. That was kind of getting tedious. Bobby was having internet issues from Costa Rica, so I, again, being that person that just jumped out there and started my own show. I actually started on Ustream with the first two jazz artists. First one was Terry Lee on June 5th, 2011. Terry Lee, saxophone player from California, was my very first, and it was a mess. But he hung in there with me, it was ridiculous, it was crazy, nobody could hear, we had feedback, it was horrible. Anything that could have happened. And then my second guest was with Richard Smith, and as Richard, again, same thing on Ustream, we did the show, horrible. Richard is an amazing guitarist, but just an amazing person in general. And, I think I'm sure he felt bad for me. But he said, hey, you know what? Let's do it again, when you work out all the bugs. And so I just kind of hung my head down and finished that horrible show with Richard Smith. And then the next Sunday, I was on again, but by then I had a week to kind of put some things into place. And I graduated to live stream. And that's where the bulk of my videos are on live stream. And I kind of figured it out and figured out how to bring guests onto the show via Skype. And let me tell you, it has been up and down. I had times when Sure Will, he's a keyboardist. He's been with some amazing folks, even Garth Brooks. And Sure Will would, in the middle of the night, because, I did test at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and Sure Will would be up and he'd jump on, online with me and say, hey, Donna, we can't hear you. He kind of helped me through, a lot of the growing pains, as did Reggie, the Jasmine Mitchell. And, other people just kind of hang in there and encouraged me. Even, again, Richard Smith encouraged me. Lots of folks encouraged me, which was pretty awesome because, this can be one of those things that you do and people see that you're not up to par and just kind of, ignore you. But you know what? I haven't had that happen. And like I said, through ups and downs, I persevered and kept it going. That's kind of how I got started, from being the love coaching to the color of jazz.
How did you come up with the name for the show?
I actually put it out there too. I asked folks, I'm like, what do I name this? And there was a lady who said, how about the color of jazz? And I love that. And I got that. And because, jazz has got so many dimensions and layers to it and textures and feelings and it just has all of that, and I think it has colors and hues. And just to me, jazz is that music I go to feel passion, to feel sensuality. And I guess kind of going back to the love coaching show that I wanted to do, I actually started by playing very sensual music. So, of course, I took music from Boney James, right? You gotta have some Boney in your collection. And so I took music from Boney James and David Sanborn, Marcus Miller, and, folks like that, Richard Smith. And I started playing their music. And as I was talking about flirting and kissing, and I think those were the only two that I did. But I had the music, I kind of intertwined the music because to me it just kind of helped with me breaking up the show. So that's how really the color of jazz kind of really came full circle. So, but going back to, naming the show The Color of Jazz, it was through all of those feelings, and I felt like the color of jazz, said it all. I love it. So that's the name of the show. Some people, I don't know if it makes sense to people, but I don't care. What I care about is, how the music makes me feel and affects me, and I get to share that with everyone else, who cares to listen. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so after you selected a name, I'm sure you created a show concept, which included interviewing artists. Who have you interviewed so far?
This is why I love the show. I am in love with jazz. It is what turns me on. It is what excites me. I have jazz crushes. The biggest jazz crush that I have is David Sanborn. And I got to tell you, David Sanborn was my first jazz concert ever. Okay, so, I fell in love. I fell in love with the music, but I fell in love with the saxophone. And I fell in love with David Sanborn just because of the way that his music made me feel. And it was just like, how you have that song, like a Luther song or whatever, but it was without the words. It was the passion, it was the music, it was the sound of, oh my God, everything that I could think of and feel, instrumental music. And that's what I loved that's what I still love about jazz. And I felt, David Sanborn, oh my God, put it out there and put it on you. And so I fell in love with David Sanborn, and understand the man David. I fell in love with the musician David. So David Sanborn will always be my first love, my first jazz love, my first jazz crush. And I think of the day when I actually get to interview David Sanborn. Okay, I had a daydream about that today with David Sanborn, Marcus Miller, and Bob James. That's the goal, of course, and it's a daydream, but guess what? Daydreams are how you make it's how you make your passion happen. It's how you make the dream happen, by daydreaming first. So I've already put it out there, so I know I'll have David Sanborn, Marcus Miller, and Bob James on my show in the future. And I look forward to that day. But going back to some of the people that I've had on my show. Oh, Stanley Jordan. Oof, okay. Terry Lynn Carrington. Terry Lynn was on my show. Kaylee Minucci, Jeff Lorber. Who else? Oh my God. Ken Navarro, Paul Brown, Walter Beasley, Cindy Blackman Santana. And of course, if you know who Carlos is, that is his wife. And she is just amazing on the drum. She's freaking hot, and she just kills it. But and then of course, having Terry Lynn Carrington on the show, that was huge for me, because I remember the days of Arsenio when he first had his show. He's back on the air, and of course, that's very, very exciting. I wonder if Terry will be back on that show, because she was the house drummer for Arsenio Hall, and that's how I became familiar with her music. So it was huge for me to have Terry Lynn Carrington on my show. I was just okay. It was just one of those surreal moments when you just gotta believe that when you ask for something, you always get it. And it's something I tell my children: whatever you ask for, you get. And you got to know that, sometimes it's not wrapped in that nice little Tiffany package that we all want everything to come in, but you get it in some shape or some form. And I do a lot of asking because I believe in that scripture, ask and you shall receive. That's absolutely true. And so I ask. People always say, how do you get the artists for your show? Guess what? I just ask, and it's not even rocket science. Folks, you just ask. And guess what? I've not had one person tell me no. Now, I've had a lot of folks who have said they would come on the show and haven't yet. They'll be on the show, and I believe that, and I know that. And that's having faith in faith. So, who else has been on my show? This past Sunday I had East Bay Soul, which, of course, East Bay Soul is founder of Tower of Power, Greg Adams. So one of the founding members of Tower of Power. So Greg Adams, of course, has a solo career, but he also has East Bay Soul. And I had a couple of the guys. Actually, I had a total of 5 of them on the show last Sunday, December 1. If you go to YouTube on my channel, and you can just type in my name, Donna Whittington, in YouTube. My videos will post up. My page will come up. Please subscribe while you're there. And you'll see the interview with Greg Adams, founding member of Tower of Power and East Bay Soul. He's no longer with Tower of Power, but his new group, East Bay Soul, is just equally and energetic. They've got the horn section, if you like Tower of Power, you will absolutely love East Bay Soul. Daryl Walker, Greg Adams, of course. Greg Adams, Daryl Walker, Joey Baumont, JB as they call him, Lee Thornburg, who was absolutely just a phenomenal trumpet player, Herman Matthews. So, and that was just some of the folks from East Bay Soul. They were my guests on the 1st. And the week before that, my guests were Rob Tardick from Canada and Phil Denny from Michigan. Rob, of course, plays the guitar. Phil plays the saxophone. And then if anyone's looking for I got to put a plug out for these guys. Anyone's looking for a great CD, Christmas CD, holiday CD, you got to check out Phil Denny's CD called The Messenger. I like it because it's not so traditional and it's not so typical Christmas music. So love that. I grew up on the soul Christmas music, the Manhattans, the Spinners, the Four Tops, Smokey, Stevie, So that's the kind of Christmas music I grew up. And when it comes to the jazz Christmas music, was almost unenjoyable for me, just because, how many ways can you play Jingle Bells on the saxophone? And so for me, the CD that Phil Denny put out for the holidays it's a great CD. So, and it's poppin' and it's funky, and I love it. It's not your traditional music. And then Rob Tardik has a CD out called Limitless. The thing about Rob Tardik that I absolutely love is vibe, his energy. He is so positive. Not his first CD, but he's got a couple CDs out, maybe 3 or 4 now. But look for the CD called Bell, Bell. Bell stands for balance, energy, laughter, and love. And that's what he lives by. And so, anyone that's kind of got that positive energy vibe going, that's the people that I surround myself with. So, great CD. I'm trying to think of some other folks. And again, I am so blanking on names, but I see them all on my show. Just go to my page, The Color of Jazz, in Facebook. I've got pictures of the artist. Of course, Naji has been on my show a couple of times. You know what? I'm always looking for women. Okay, I had over 100 artists on my show, and of that 100, I've only had maybe 12 women. I'm always looking for women to come on my show. So if you know someone, hit me up. Tell them to find me, and let's see if we can get some more women on the show. But I mentioned, of course, Terry Lynn Carrington and Cindy Blackman Santana, but I've also had on the show a great songstress, jazz songstress, Rita Shelby. She is awesome. Great vocals. I've had a lady from Indonesia on the show. Her name is Yuka Rose. I've had some of the members from Jazz and Pink, of course, Karen Briggs, Gail Johnson, Althea Renee, and Marie Antoinette. So I've had one of the ladies from Manhattan Transfer, Cheryl Bentine. So I've had some women, but I would love to have more, So again, tell your women jazz friends to hit me up in Facebook on my Color of Jazz page so we can get some more women on the show.
Donna, I never thought about that until you mentioned it, and so far, I've only had 5 women here at the GrooveSuiite, and that includes you. I like to have more to interview, so if you find some that are willing, please turn them on to the place where music lovers meet. What do you do when you don't have a guest or guests scheduled for The Color of Jazz?
You know what? I just hang out with the audience. And I hang out with the audience, and I play music, and we just chat it up. I feed off of their energy. Now, gotta say, now that I'm in Google Plus and YouTube, I've been having some issues with YouTube, and I'm not quite sure how to work it out, but YouTube is big on the whole copywriting thing, which is kind of an oxymoron to me because they have so much music out there that people just throw up there, and they don't have any permission. So, and not that I'm saying that I should play music that don't have permission, but when I have an artist on the show and I cannot play their music, and I obviously have their permission, that's a problem. So I just have to figure out how to work around that and make the show work, because I love my show and I don't want to switch to another platform. I'm open-minded, but God, I really love Google Plus and YouTube, so we'll figure it out.
Let me know when you do, because I posted interviews on their site also and have had the same problems. But other than that, what do you enjoy the most about hosting your show?
The interaction with the people in the chat. The whole premise of the show is to connect people. I'm a connector. I'm just a natural connector. Whether it's music or something else, I like to connect people. I'm a people person. I got to have people around me. So I call myself a connector, and this is a great way of connecting the jazz musician with their audience because, everyone is in their comfort of their own home. The jazz musician, they're wherever they are. I'm in my home little studio. You're in your kitchen, but living room, bedroom, wherever you are with your laptop, and you're sitting there watching the show. And it's just all about connecting all of us. I love that. So that's probably the most that I really think that I love about the show. And the next would be connecting with the artist. A lot of times I see these artists on my show. I make the first contact on my show. It's the first time we even meet. And then I get to see them in concert, And then once I see them in concert, I don't know, it's just like, oh my God, there you are, And it works both ways. It was so cool when I got to meet Brian O'Neill. I was in Vegas at the Las Vegas Jazz Festival, and I was at the jam session late at night, and the MC said, Brian O'Neill's in the house. I'm like, oh my God. For one, the man is just beautiful, but he is for those of you who know Brian O'Neill, and for those of you who don't know Brian O'Neill, you will want to get to know him. He is a humanitarian. His passion in life is to eradicate homelessness. He's in Detroit, I believe, and he has a foundation called the Do Foundation, named after his grandmother, Daisy O'Neill, and he's got a great song called Daisy, and you got to pick up some Brian O'Neill. He plays with Kim, the singer Kim, of course, but I got to meet Brian O'Neill, and he had been on my show, and I walked up to him, and he knew exactly who I was, which was just awesome. And so it was great to finally meet him and interview him as well. So you can find that interview on the Color of Jazz, on my YouTube page. But that's what I love. I love connecting people, and I love to meet the artists and, kind of come full circle from the interview to actually meeting them in person. And then I get to have them back on the show. I'm like, hey, you're going to come back on the show, right? So, and I think for the artists, I think once they get onto the show, The Color of Jazz, they get the concept because, I just say to them, you know what, you're just going to be sitting in front of your laptop talking to us. And so that's pretty cool. And then they feel the energy of the audience. Then the audience is asking them questions. And then it's like, wow, people are talking to me. This past week with East Bay Soul, we had a lady from Russia. And you know what? I'm still on cloud 9 about that. I've been telling everyone, my daughters are like, okay, Mom, we know. But I'm on cloud 9 because we reached some folks in Russia, okay? And as far as I know, that's the first time I've had somebody on the show, chatting with us from Russia. So I'm just excited. And it doesn't take much to excite me, which is awesome because, it's always the big things, but it's the little things, it's the little moments in life. And I'm having a bunch of little moments that are just phenomenal and exciting. So life is absolutely good.
Tell the listeners when they can catch your show and any plans you have for the upcoming year.
You can see me on Sundays, Sunday nights, p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when I hang out with some jazz, some great jazz. This year for 2014, I'm really going to work on getting some more folks from overseas. A couple of weeks ago, we had 3Style on the show, and 3Styles from Germany, so they were up at 1 a.m. chatting with us. Just a great group, 3Style and Magdalena Sholovenkova. She has a twin sister, Gabrielle. On the guitar is Robert Furto, and on the bass, Chesney and David. I'm sorry, I know I butchered your name, but I know you know who I'm talking about. So I'm going to expand, and my first international artist of 2014 will be from Italy. His name is Francesco Buzzuro, and Francesco is he's a guitarist, a virtuoso. You will absolutely want to hear that interview. I'm sure we can get Francesco to play live for us, and I am looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to all of my little daydreams that I have in my head and sharing them with you because I dream big. I dream small, but I also dream big, and I believe in my dreams, and I know they're going to come true. So, having said that, we will have some freaking amazing jazz artists, and even the independent artists that have come on my show. Also, Sam Hankins, Bernard Rose, Terry Lee, folks like that who come on my show and support me, Rob Tardick, Phil Denny, and people who I just absolutely love. They're amazing, and I get so much from the artist. I just love them. I love their music. I love their passion that they give to us.
Who do you groove to when you aren't planning your show?
I'm in a Robert Glasper mode, and because, it's one of them daydreams I've been having, right? Robert Glasper. Oof. So, as I dream about Robert Glasper, of course, I play a lot of his music in my car, while I'm getting dressed, and just throughout the day, I Robert Glasper. So Robert Glasper, of course, I have him forefront because I believe I'm going to get him on my show. And I'm looking forward to seeing a live performance from Robert. He's got a show coming up in January 5th, and I want to be there. Wheels are turning. I have come across the guy via Facebook, and got to tell you, I love Facebook. So there's a gentleman by the name of Kamal Musalam. He's in Dubai, and he has something he calls Arabic fusion. And so I just met him today via Facebook, okay? So I'm starting to listen to his music because I love fusion. But I also love the sound of different, coming from different cultures and countries. Check out Kamal, KamalMusalam. He's in Facebook. Tell him Donna sent you from The Color of Jazz. But I'm starting to, kind of listen to his music, and I put out an email to him and say, hey, let's chat. So maybe he'll come on The Color of Jazz, right? I look forward to that as well. So that's me. That's Donna Whittington in a nutshell.
Where can listeners find more information about you and The Color of Jazz?
Just check me out on Facebook. In fact, not on my personal page because there's no room on that. You can definitely connect to me in YouTube. Just put my name in there. My channel will come up. You can connect with me in The Color of Jazz. I still have the Love Connections page up. And every now and then I throw something up there about relationships. It keeps creeping up, so I know I must be needing to do something. I also have another page called 5 Minutes with Donna. Basically, it's usually more than 5 minutes, but it's just me reaching out to people that I find absolutely interesting. I find a lot of people interesting, and I just want to know, what's your story? So that's the whole 5 Minutes with Donna. It's, like I said, it's in Facebook, and it's the number 5. I'm on Twitter. Donna SW is my Twitter name. It's just my name, and so you can find me there. But then look for me in Google+. Plus is going to be the next big thing. It's already big, but I know it's going to be even bigger than Facebook. You can find me. If you Google me, I'll pop up that way too.
Donna Whittington, thank you for taking the time to shine in the spotlight at the GrooveSuiite. On behalf of all the jazz artists and their fans, we really appreciate everything that you do on The Color of Jazz.
Let me, of course, end all of this by saying thank you. Thanks, Don, first of all, for your patience. You've asked me to do this interview, and of course I've always wanted to do the interview, but have felt just really intimidated. As crazy as that sounds, I was always intimidated just by, being on the other side, I guess, the other side of the mic. So I thank you for your patience. I so appreciate you. And of course, I want to say thank you for doing what you do. It's awesome in this day and age. We have so many tools. And you're also a connector, whether you see that or not, but you're connecting people as well. And so, big ups, big kudos, big hugs, all of that to you as well. And of course, keep doing what you're doing because, again, I appreciate you inviting me on your show. Thank you. We'll have to have you on my show, and we'll just hang out and talk music and do all that fun stuff. All right, everyone. Thank you. And I appreciate every single one of you. Good jazz to you. Check me out on YouTube. Thank you.